Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are in our Harvesting Leadership series, and I'm so excited because I made a little post in my own team page asking what everyone's free customer account number was. And when TJ came with his number, I was like, guess what? You just signed up to teach the class on free customer accounts. So I am just going to stop talking and let TJ, because he has all of these notes, I'm going to let him, do his job. And for those of you who don't know, he trains people for a living. So I'm not really sure why we don't have him doing this more often. So if you do a really good job, TJ, you're just signing yourself up for more. So keep that in mind.
Okay, so I need to do a bad job.
Nope,
Like
because here soon we're going to be side by side right here doing this together.
That's true. And I feel like I'm back on Monday when I was doing my first group with that new job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like she said, my name is TJ. For those of you that do hop on that don't know me, I have been thriving about 4.5 years now. I think it'll be 5 in February, which is crazy to say the least. But yeah, I am going to chat about free customer accounts. And it was kind of shocking to me to see how many I had in my cloud, as well as the potential of what those could be in the future, that I've never really paid too much attention to. So the first thing I do want to go into is, why are we even talking about these free accounts? Why are they important? First things first, if you see my ollies go off camera, I have a little notepad, so that is why. So the number one thing is it gets them in your network. So one of the biggest things that I've even personally experienced is you may talk to someone, but then they will go sign up under another person because they offered them X, Y, or Z. So that is one of the biggest things for me, to get that account created up front, to make sure that you are not losing that customer and they're not going somewhere else. So it kind of builds that connection with you. It also gets them on the Lavelle marketing emails. This is one of the super easiest ways for them to get information about anything that the company is pushing out. And we don't have to do anything to do it. Once they get that account created, they already automatically get all of those marketing emails for the promos. For the promos, and anything else that the company may send out that is customer, or if they even make that promoter account promoter based as well. So it really is a way to get that free marketing that we don't actually have to do anything to do it. Like, it just naturally is there. It's one of the easiest things to introduce people to new products, so on and so forth, because it just happened. It also gets their foot into the Thrive Life. So they may not actually order, but it gets them in there. So whenever they are ready, that account is there and ready for them whenever they actually want to take that leap and trust whoever is talking to them. Which, keep in mind, this could be 20 minutes from now. It could be tomorrow. It could be 13 years from now. It really just depends on when that person is ready to kind of be like, okay, let's do this. I already touched on, you never want someone to create an account with someone else. I did find some interesting information from Paul, one of our CEOs, that says on average, we should have about 42 free customer accounts, which is going to be like the middle ground of what you're looking for, just average. So when we have these lower numbers, or in my case, potentially, to be completely transparent, when it's been a minute since I've gotten a new free customer account, it is is a reflection on how our business, or what effort we are putting into it. So that is one thing I acknowledge for myself. Yes, currently it's at 174. However, it has been a minute since I have added new. So it really kind of comes from both sides. It's not just, yes, you have all of these customer accounts already. It's still, going out and getting those new ones to keep building from that 174 to that 200, or from that 5 to that 15 to that 20 to that 50. So you can get to that average of 42 or whatever it may be for you. Let's see. My mouse isn't scrolling because it's on my other computer. Please hold. Technology is fun. That being said, and then one call out I did say with you never want someone to create an account with someone else. With that being said, we also don't want to poach people from other folks as well. So that is one thing. I have had a couple people actually message me and was like, I've ordered from X before, but you're offering X. Can you do this? Can you make a new account? So on and so forth. And yes, at the end of the day, we want new customers, but me personally, if I know they're ordering with someone religiously, and especially if I already know that person, I'm not going to be like, sure, I'll give you this discount just to get another customer. For me, that's just morals. I don't like it. It's dirty, it's gross. And for me, it really just kind of puts a negative tone on everything that we're even supposed to be about with the Thrive experience. So please, for the love of everything, do not poach other people's people. Now, if they say I used to Thrive 10 years ago and I haven't talked to the person in 5 years, okay, fine. But if they're like actively, they're just like, oh, you have a promo for 50% off, I'm going to order from you, and then bounce right back to them for the previous or the next month. Don't do that, y'all. All righty. So who's in here anyway? Sonia's in here. Random Galaxy is in here. Awesome. So real quick, does anybody have any call outs or thoughts around why free accounts are important or anything like that? Just to kind of get input from the rest of y'all. Because I mean, yes, I may have 174 and have this lovely list, but that is the great thing about all of this is there are so many people that have so many thoughts that I don't think of, Samantha doesn't think of, so on and so forth.
I have a question.
Okie dokie.
How do you manage that many customers? Because I feel like a lot of people are scared to get customer accounts because they think the workload is going to be too much. So, how are you managing all of those?
So this is something I go back and forth with periodically, and both you and Tammy know this about myself as well. I try to do things digitally / by memory, and it's an epic fail of trying to remember who I've talked to. So at the end of the day, keeping them straight with if I'm reaching out or following up with them, pen and paper, just writing them down somewhere, kind of old school, like Tammy just said in the chat. Anytime I veer off of old school and then I veer back on, it's like a lighter day difference, which I need to get back on that train. I keep trying to go the digital route, and I know I need to stop and just stick to the old school method because clearly it works when I do it. But I think depending on the person, it really is just some way to keep track of it. I mean, you can go into your cloud office and look at your customer list, and if you wanted to print it off, however many you have, split that across your 4 follow-ups or whatever, and just plan a month or however many days worth of customers you have, go through them all. And then once you get to that last one, start back at the beginning, because by the time you get back to that first person, it's going to be days, weeks, or potentially a month or longer, depending on how many customer accounts you actually have in there. Anything else on that, or does that help?
Hold on, someone's at my door. I'm going to be right back. Do you still have more to talk about? Because I had another question. unless you had another. Do you have
No.
more to say?
Not on that. I mean, I have more, but not on that.
Okay, you just continue and I'll save my question.
Gotcha. Awesome sauce. So while she's doing that, I did come up with some ways in which we can actually get customer accounts and how I have gotten them in the past. And I was just kind of sitting here last night, kind of thinking of different ways that may not be thought about in every day. One of the first things that popped to mind, which I think is where a lot of mine came from, was at one point the company was doing a promo where we would get, I think it was $2 or something like that in credits for every new customer account that was created. So that really kind of helped boost some of those numbers up. Also, when we do those $30, $25 promos where those credits are automatically added to a customer's account is a great way to get them as well. However, just like everything, we don't want to rely on those because we never know if there's going to be a promo. I mean, there hasn't been a promo like that $2 for or $2 credit to the us in a minute that I can remember. So it really is not relying on those. But the great thing about that is if the company is not having a promo, you could potentially offer your own personal promo for people who create an account. So something I tend to do sometimes is if I have some extra credits laying around, I can kind of do that $2 credit for them instead of like the company where they give it to us. Granted, $2 is $2, but to somebody, $2 could be the difference of them placing their order and not placing the order because they are $1.99 short in whatever account they're paying for it with. So, I mean, it may seem like he's excited. So it may seem like it's a little tiny bit, but even $2 can make the difference from them placing that order or not. You can also put out a promo of looking for folks to just create an account, and then you could do some type of drawing. If you had like 15 people that create an account, throw them all into a drawing for either free product, free credits. I mean, you could even do Amazon gift cards or any other types of gift cards. So it's not necessarily 100% Thrive related, but it still gets them to create a customer account and gets you kind of in their network and gets us in like the marketing into them as well. Business cards, I feel like probably don't need to be mentioned too much because you can leave those just about anywhere. And then if your website is on it, you could potentially get free accounts from that randomly. I forget who it was. Was it Tammy that did it? The Thrive and Mag with the contact label on it that she would leave at like doctors or places where you would actually use magazines, which for me, this one's tricky because I don't really do magazines, but you can always strategically place things like that at places that are going to be seen a lot because then they're going to be like, oh, what's this? But then if they see it and Tammy's name is on the front of it and her website's on the front of it, they could potentially pop over there and voila, new customer account that you don't know that came from Dr. Susie's office. Samples are another thing. So one thing with samples, anytime you're sending a sample out is an opportunity for a free account. So I am not sure who is on the Galaxy, but to answer that question, I believe she has her name, either her phone number, email address, and her website. Tammy, if you can correct me for what exactly you have on your label, that would be great. Because I know I used to know, but I don't remember. Excuse me. Samples. So great way to get free accounts as well. The big thing with samples is make sure you get that account created before you send a sample. Be it you sending them a free sample or sending a paid, or if they paid one. I learned this the hard way. I've sent many of samples without creating accounts and it turns to the other way. And that goes for the sample mailouts too, because just because you send a sample mail out, it does not actually create a customer account for that customer. So if you are utilizing the sample mailouts, which are super phenomenal and super easy, just make sure that you are creating that account. That way you don't send that sample and then they end up going somewhere else. Not at all, because we didn't have that customer account from that sample. Let's see. We got a response. It's a mailing label and it's my name, phone, and link. Fabulous. Thank you for throwing that in there, Tammy. And then as always, interacting with new people and building our network is going to help us get those customer accounts. So from this point, these accounts aren't going to happen right away. The big thing with this, which is one thing that I need to work on and will be working on, partly because I will have a completely new state of a network here in a short few, 10 days. So being in a completely different state kind of opens up a completely different network of people that I'm sure certain people on this Zoom are going to force me to get out of my comfort zone and do all of the things. So, but the thing with that though, is it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be right now, but even planting those seeds in a new network or new people could potentially lead to those customer accounts in the future. And then one thing I noticed when all of these folks that were in Vegas, if you are face to face and you're talking about it or someone asks, give them your phone in the moment and have them create your account, have them create their account there versus, okay, what's your information, or find you on Facebook and then do it later. If you do it in the moment, it's going to get done. Like I said before, will they order right then and there? Probably not, but it gets them in your network. Now that may not work all of the time because you may be at the grocery store or whatever, but in those situations where it does work, it really does just hand them your phone. Or if you don't have your phone, you're like, hey, do you have yours? Ask them. Don't just take their phone, and kind of navigate to your website or whatnot to create the account for them on their phone, just so it gets in there. And then the last thing I have before we get to that question you had before you went to the door is another great way is getting customers thriving for free. So, I mean, the more your customers are thriving for free, the more customer accounts you're going to have, because all of their customers are still your customers, even if it's 15 customers down from you. Like, they're still your customer base, regardless of where they fall underneath all of your other customers. So with this, one thing to help with that is strategically placing your customers. Like when you have new folks, to place them under people to get your customers thriving for free, but also up your customer account numbers at the same time. So you're kind of double dipping. You get the extra, or you get the additional customers, but then customer A is thriving for free. So it really is win-win for everyone. One thing that I've tried in the past with this that has kind of been 50-50 is kind of challenging a customer to connect. For me, I typically will do 5 people and I'm like, hey, so group chat of 5 people with me. And then that's it. You don't have to do anything. Just go in there, tell your story, talk about it. And then most of the time that will bring up at least 2 on a good day. All 5 are like, great, I just want an account, but I don't really want to order. Okay, fine, here, have this account. Like at this point, it's all about the account. Like you can follow up, you can drip, you can do all of that over days, weeks, and so on, but getting them in the network or in our network and getting the marketing emails and all of that fun stuff is at the core of what can come from that. And that's all that I had.
My question was, what do you say when people say, like, how do you word it so that they don't feel intimidated? I feel like free customer account instantly sounds like you're going to sign them up for a credit card and run their credit score. Like, how do you let people know, like, what's your verbiage? What do you say when they're like, oh no, I don't want that?
So I think for me, the biggest thing, and that's one thing I haven't really come across too much, but I've always been super transparent with what I say, as far as that goes. So if they ask, I'm going to flat out be like, I totally understand X, Y, or Z, but just know that there is no commitment to this. It doesn't cost you anything. And it literally is a free account just so you can get the information if we order in the future. One thing I learned the other day is if you don't have a customer account, you don't know how much anything is. Like, you can check the website, but it doesn't tell you the cost or the prices for anything. So it kind of just depends on that individual and how much they're pushing back. But most of the time, when you just start with no obligation, I don't expect you to order anything. It's not like life or death. I'm not gonna delete you from Facebook or my life if you don't order or answer right or do anything right away. Most of the time they're just like, okay, fine, here's my email, phone number, move on their way. And then for folks that don't like to give you their information, send them your link and they can make it themselves. I mean, I've had a couple people that were like, no, I'm not, but if you send me a link to do it, I'll do it. And they did.
So when you get these accounts, are you giving them like, what's your strategy for their username and their password? Do you have like a system or a process, or do you just wing it, or how do you choose how to create their account?
So that's a great question, and it depends on the day. So, and depending on now or 4.5 years ago, I try normally, if I'm making it for the username, I try to stick to first initial last name, just because they can go in and change their username. So I don't want to think too much because I wanted to get it in and get it done. But I also want it to be remembered in case if they don't change it, I can go in and do anything that they need to do, because I have a couple people now that have no idea how to get into the account. And if they want to make a change, they message me and I have to do the change because they don't care. They don't care. They don't know how. So they're just like, hey, you have it, do it. And I'm like, okay.
I like to have control too. So
Which is super hard for me, because if I was like coming to you and telling you, hey, go spend $150 of my money, but you're going to take care of it and tweak it, that would kill my anxiety of, yeah, like I need to be in control, especially when it comes to stuff like that. There was a part 2 to that and I just lost my train of thought. I literally just lost my train of thought. Let me backtrack in my brain for a second. Yeah, it's gone. Whatever the thought was is gone. It was a good thought too. I don't know. I forget. I had another thought on your question, but it just out the door.
it'll come to you. It always does. So if anyone has questions, please put them in the chat. Something I wanted to add to that, getting people to get an account, is when someone's like, okay, what is Thrive? Or they want to know about your sticker or whatever, I just say, hey, give me your email and I'll send you over this quick video to watch. It'll explain everything it is. Well, when they send me their email, I'm going to create them a free customer account. I'm not even telling them. I'm just saying, hey, what's your email? I'm going to send you over this quick video so you can watch it. And when you create that free customer account, they're going to get an email, because it'll say, welcome to your Thrive experience or whatever. And it'll send them to their main page, and there is a video that says, what is Thrive, on the landing page. So they're going to be able to watch the video. And then if they start clicking around that website, it'll ask them for a username. And that's when you can send over like, oh, by the way, if it asks you to log in, here's your username, here's your password. if you need to see anything beyond that video. So, you know, that's kind of how I get around the scariness of the free customer account. Or like you said, if you are out and about, you know, if you're not able to hand someone your phone or vice versa, just get their email. Even if you go home and try to create them an account and they already have one or it's not working, you have their email. You can message them and say, hey, I met you at the grocery store yesterday and you asked me about Thrive. You know, they might have given somebody an email in the past for a contest or something and they don't even know what it is. So it's a possibility. So
That's one thing I've noticed a lot from a big majority of mine is they don't, that's one thing, not getting them and not letting them know. Like there is nothing worse than, like what you said is different, but like someone having absolutely no idea what we're doing with their information or their email and then coming to find out like, oh, this isn't working, you must already have an account for something. And they're like, I have never talked to anybody, I have never. So it can be very startling to people. And I've had a couple people that were like, you're crazy, and then they went on their way. So
well, support will actually help you out there. So if they're telling the truth and they really have no idea what you're talking about, support will know that if you send them and say, hey, can you release this email? This person's never ordered and I want to help them. They'll go and look into it, check their email and see if they've ordered or not. And if they haven't, they will absolutely release that email and you can then enroll them with you. So they didn't always used to do that and now they do. So
I was
that's a
gonna
bonus.
say, I thought it was a thing, but I didn't know for sure if it was.
Yeah, now if they go and see that that customer's been ordering on auto ship with somebody else, they're gonna say, no, no, sir. Well, if nobody has any questions, and TJ, if you have any like final thoughts or anything, we can go ahead and get this wrapped up. We've got the air conditioning guy here because there's an air conditioning thing going on, so there's that. But thank you for hosting this. I'm glad I just didn't give you an option and said, hey, TJ, you're hosting a training.
Hey, I got to pick the date, kind of
True.
ish.
Yeah.
But as far as the final thoughts, I mean, like I said, it really is kind of at the core of everything, having these free customer accounts. And like I said, just because you get the account, don't expect the order to come the same day. I mean, I have accounts from 4.5 years ago that are sitting there and potentially may never go anywhere, or they may, who knows. It really just depends on that person and when the stars align and it's their time to shine in the Thrive world.
Yeah, and if you have their information in your system, then you have a follow-up list. So, you know, my customer I just got yesterday or the day before, she had a free account because she had a sample. So she already had a free customer account. And I have been following up with her because when I go to my cloud and I'm doing my job and I'm like, I need follow-ups, okay, I'm gonna reach out to Kimberly and see how she's doing. And a year later, she ordered. So you're exactly right. Timing is everything. And at least you have a list of people to follow up with in your cloud office so you can stay on task instead of scrolling social media mindlessly and, you know, reels and TikToks and, you
That
know.
one's my guilty.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I will get this recording put together and I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you for
Thank
letting
you.
me.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, y'all.
All right, bye.